Hell Let Loose might genuinely be the most intense first-person multiplayer shooter ever made. At the very least, the most intense shooter focusing on realism and tactical thinking, be it on the ground or as a commander. It's an incredibly layered game with lots of variation when it comes to playstyles and the experience you'll be having while playing it. It is very punishing even if you're a veteran player, but at the same time it can be just as satisfying and rewarding. In a way, I'd call this game the Dark Souls of multiplayer shooters, as you'll definitely have to get used to dying a lot, over and over again.
No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory.
One of the things that this game excels in is immersion. When the battle gets heated with bullets flying past you, explosions blowing up fields, buildings, and your comrades, you really do feel like you're in a war zone. In my opinion, this is one of the very few games that actually make you feel like you're part of something bigger and like there's a war going on. Because you also die very easily, often from a single bullet, and over time you start playing much more carefully. You start getting a feel for your surroundings and pay attention to the smallest of details, even if they might seem insignificant. For example, you can hear enemy footsteps if they are close. There were multiple moments where I was hiding out in a field or a house and all of a sudden I heard footsteps approaching. Since enemy troops are not being marked by the game, I knew they weren't friendly, and so I got ready for a firefight, one that ended up being extremely intense and fun, combined with a strong feeling of claustrophobia. There will be lots of moments of you thinking you've heard or seen something only for it to turn out to be a random bush or the wind, and other times where you were definitely right and now it's too late, or you managed to get a kill. These things start playing with you psychologically over time, especially when it gets somewhat quieter on the map for a few moments, with you trying to understand what's going on. Even when everything is organized and going according to plan, there is a sense of chaos that adds to the intensity. It's also an amazing feeling watching the map be lit up by artillery and rocket fire, or when planes bombed half the map. The explosions are massive, devastating, and they make your heart beat even more because you never know if you'll get hit by them, and you try to find any place you can to hide. It's really amazing how this game sometimes manages to give me a feeling of intense shudders and almost a fake sense of PTSD, because you just know that maps like Stalingrad will be very tiring and draining, which is a good thing. As strange as it might sound, but I actually think it's great that this game can be really draining because it makes the war feel so much more chaotic and dangerous.
Moving in, General Hodges' infantry troops fight in the streets for a week in a grim house-to-house battle.
The maps are very well made, on one hand being mostly faithful recreations of their real-life counterparts, and on the other hand never sacrificing authenticity for player comfort. This is a video game after all, and not everything that is authentic might necessarily be fun to play or experience. But the maps are amazing, especially due to their scale and how well designed they are. They look beautiful despite the horrors going on, and they feel massive as well. It takes a lot of time to traverse them, and to defeat the enemy you have to cover a lot of ground, which is not not an easy thing to do. Looking at the design here, you feel almost insignificant at this scale, but at the same time, you can't help but be amazed at how awesome the game can look at times. It's a real pleasure to play in locations that look so great. You will feel frustration playing this game, a lot of it actually, because Hell Let Loose is a very hard game and insanely punishing. If you think you can play the game like Call of Duty and run around like Rambo, you'll be in for a very bad time. Here, even a single shot can instantly take you out, and when that happens, you have to pray that your team managed to get the spawn point closer to the front lines. Otherwise, you'll be running through half the map to where the action is, and even here you can easily get shot.
Infanterie wartet in Deckung. Erst müssen unsere Panzerkampfwagen stark ausgebaute MG-Nester niederwalzen.
You have to play carefully, going from cover to cover, and always keep to your squad or teammates, as that's the safest way to stay alive. And then you can still all be downed by enemy artillery or tanks. I had some of my most immersive moments when I was lucky to be part of a competent team that knew what it was doing. It was amazing to see how much of a different experience this game can be depending on who your teammates are and whether they help each other and coordinate their next moves or just do whatever they want. It can make the difference between winning or losing a match.
Day and night for months on end, the defenders of Stalingrad have fought the most glorious battle in Russian history.
It's also something I love about Hell Let Loose. Even when you are currently winning or losing the match, things can always change and be turned around. There were plenty of moments where I was on the losing team and then somehow we managed to drive the enemy back and start reclaiming territory, ultimately leading to victory. And vice versa, sometimes when you think you've won the match, something happens and all of a sudden you find yourself in enemy territory. It's an unpredictable game, especially because you have to rely on your naked eye to see enemy troops. That makes this game even harder, as you often see nothing, and when there's chaos around you, you start shooting at grass and the bushes, hoping someone is hiding there. But it also makes you feel more like a soldier on the ground, because when you do get some kills, they feel incredibly satisfying. I have never played any other multiplayer games that were this intense, punishing, and rewarding. It's the only game that really does make me feel like I'm in an active war zone, and like all my actions have consequences and are vital to the outcome of a match. Each soldier has a role here that you have to fulfill, and it can make or break the battle for your side.